All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, want to give our honor and glory to Yahawah, Bahashim, Yahawashi, Bahashim, Rekakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and shalom to the hopeful elect, all right? Lord, when this lesson be edifying to you, so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians who consist of the 12 tribes of Israel, as your fellow servant Yahawah from the GMS Orlando camp, and Lord, when this lesson be edifying, okay? Now, real quick, it's pretty late, 12:47 a.m., but I wanted to touch upon this, man, a title that Apostle Hart threw out there not too long ago. And it pretty much went like this: a reversal of curses, okay? A reversal of curses, okay? And if you've been, in the loop, if you've been paying attention, you can see that we're in the times where, the Lord is, you know, taking off, the captivity, of Israel, with the Israelites, man, slowly but surely, you know, removing this captivity off of us and putting it, soon to put it on our oppressors, okay, and all these other nations too that have joined in and helping had a helping hand in oppressing us as well. Okay, but if if you're paying attention to the times, the Lord is, hey, as the scriptures say, Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Okay, so soon, the Lord's going to lift off all these curses, and these curses are going to be put right on our enemies. Okay, real quick, you know, one of the building blocks, of our foundation. One of the building block scriptures. Okay, Deuteronomy chapter 28. All right. Um, and I just want to jump down, but I'm gonna jump back up real quick. All right. Uh, okay. Real shit. All right. It says the curses of disobedience. Okay. The curses of disobedience, and this is exactly what happened to us as a nation of people. All right. This is why we call this a foundation scripture, because it gives you a blueprint on what's going on in today's time. Okay. And a lot of Israelites, Jake, you know, people that's not, Jakes that, Israelites that are not in the truth per se, that are still Israelites, they have a lot of questions on why is this doing, why is God, bringing us through this, man, and why are these things happening? Why are we, at the bottom? Why are people destroyed in the streets? Okay, why are why are we, we just can't come up as a people? Why can't we just, get all together? It's a lot of reasons why. Okay, the first reason is that the Lord, told us, if you disobey me, I will put these curses upon you. Okay, so here it goes, Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15. If, however, you do not obey the Lord thy power, okay, Yahawah, by obey the Lord Yahawah, your power, by carefully following all his commandments and statutes I am giving you today, all these curses will come upon you and overtake you, okay? Now you can do your homework on some of these curses, okay? I'm not gonna do read all of them, but it's definitely, this is homework worthy, okay? So first one, it says you will be cursed in the city and cursed in the country, okay? You know, your basket and kneading bowl will be cursed, okay? The fruit of your womb will be cursed, as well as the produce of your land, the cows and of your herds, and the lambs of your flocks. So pretty much in this bubble right here, the whole way of living, man. Our food, our bread, the fruit of your womb will be cursed. Our children, it says you will be cursed in the city and cursed in the country. You know, pretty much, that dark cloud hanging over us, man. Okay, you will be cursed when you come in and cursed when you go out. So no, the Lord has put, walls up, pretty much that we cannot succeed. All right, that we could not, go over. And we would never succeed. Okay, because we the Lord cursed us in this sense. Okay, we will never succeed until He lifts the curses upon us. Okay, and sure, you have people that make $1 million, $100 million, Jakes, that Israelites that make, a shit ton of money. But as the head brother Noalia says, in GMS Orlando, it's about the family heirloom. Okay, what is that? What is it if one black man makes 100 million, and the rest of the black men are poor? okay, or Latino man poor, or whatever, okay, as a nation, we are destroyed, okay, right now. Verse 20, the Lord will send curses upon you, confusion and reproof in all to which you put your hand, okay, and until you are destroyed and quickly perish because of the wickedness you have committed and forsaken him, okay. So, hey, we put our hand to wickedness, so this is the curses that the Lord sent upon us, confusion and reproof. You got Jake out there drunken in the streets, not knowing what time we're in. Okay, that's confusion. All right, until you are destroyed. You got Jake, hugging up against the oppressor. Eat them. You know, Stockholm syndrome. Stockholm syndrome. Okay, not letting go of the oppressor. Believing that the oppressor has, means right by them. Okay, when the scriptures tell you they casted off all pity. Okay, when it came to the nation of Israel, leaning onto the oppressors. You know, and quickly perish. You got Jake shooting each other, the oppressor killing us, quickly perish because of the wickedness. Perish means to die, okay, of the wickedness you have committed and forsaken him. All right, the Lord Yahawah will make the plague cling to you until he has exterminated you from the land that you are entering to possess. The Lord Yahawah will strike you with wasting disease. A lot of our people go through, liver disease, okay, liver cancer, heart disease, diabetes. These are different ailments and diseases that the Lord bestowed upon us for disobeying Him. Okay, it says, and with fever and inflammation, with scorching heat and drought, and with blight and mildew. These will pursue you until you perish. The sky over your head will be bronze, and the earth beneath you iron. Okay, the Lord Yahweh will turn the rain of your land into dust and powder. Okay, it will descend on you from the sky until you are destroyed. So this is some things, these building blocks just showing you, what happened, man. Okay, but this lesson isn't about that right now. That's a key part. Okay, that's a key part. But the lesson is the reversal of curses. Okay, all right, and this is the blessings of the obedience. So now you have a remnant that have come back. Have returned. Okay, the Lord said, "I saved the remnant unto myself." The ones that were going to acknowledge their offense, uh, 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 you know, come back with that contrite heart, that broken spirit. Because hey, if you believe you're not broken in this time, then you're a fucking lie. Okay, we are destroyed. As the scripture says, if you say you're not destroyed, you say everything's going right, you're a problem. You're the problem. Okay, if you say everything's going right in your life, and see, you're not thinking as the nation, you're not thinking, as a whole, you're thinking just for yourself. Okay, because we can go home, eat food, lay in a comfortable bed, but there's a Jake out there carrying a bag of clothes on the streets. Okay, there's a brother or sister within the nation of Israel, that's out there, on the streets sleeping in the cold. Okay, don't know where the next meal is coming from. You know, this is real deal. Okay, the blessings of obedience. Now, if you faithfully, and what's the balance of the Lord? That man that's on the street, his body might be in tip top shape, and here you are laying in a good comfortable bed under a nice house, 3 bedroom house, 4 bedroom house, and you have ailments, because that's part of the curses. The Lord said, "I will bot you." So nobody got no, not one Israelite got away from got away from all the curses. We all fall up under the curse. It don't matter who you are. Okay, now all these now all of the curses in Deuteronomy 28 for the Israelites might not be all upon you, but you will have several going on throughout your life. Okay, if you have a woman, her eye will be wicked towards you and her children. Okay, vice versa. If you have a husband, a woman, she having a husband, her man will be, his eyes will be evil towards. That's what you see in the hood, or that's what you see in these situations. With Jake, Jake leave the household, man. Have two kids by a woman and leave the household, and the woman continue having kids with different men. So now we become, adulterous nation. Okay, and not only with, you know, physically but spiritually, man. We followed other gods. Okay, but anyways, this is a reversal right here, man. Okay, and we're gonna get back to this, man. Because this is what's coming up. You know, all this stuff here, the Lord is still gonna promise this. This is still promised to us. Not a remnant, has returned back to them, and has not and has not acknowledged their offense towards the Lord Yahawashi. Okay, the blessings of obedience. Okay, and that's nothing. That's all of what the remnant is going to be. That honorable multitude. Okay, the elect, they're going to be, they're going to get the blessings of obedience because of their obedience. All right. Now, if you faithfully obey the voice of the Lord Yahawah, your power, and are careful to follow all of his commandments, I am giving you today, the Lord Yahawah, your power will set you high above all the nations of the earth. No, okay, right now, Esau, is blessed with the fatness of the earth right now, okay? And he's ruling over us. But this is a reversal. We got a line. We put our best foot forth to be obedient to the Lord Yahweh Shai and faithfully obey. Okay, now this is the reversal. The Lord is going to set Jerusalem on high. Okay, let me get that. Hmm, that's all over the place. Hold on. Come on, what's all this stuff? Here, let me get this. I want to get that in a different version, Zechariah. Zechariah. What was that? 12. Okay. What version is this? Let me see something. Y'all bear with me, okay? No, no, no. Okay. As you see the header there, Zechariah chapter 12. Okay, in the NLT version, we'll just double check the stream, make sure everything's going good. Everything is going good, okay? And I'm kind of hit these points because I want to get into these different scriptures. Zechariah chapter 12, verse 1. Future deliverance, okay? You see the header. And these headers, they hit home, okay? Future deliverance for Jerusalem, okay? Verse 1. This message concerning the fate of Israel came from the Lord Yahweh. This message is from the Lord Yahweh, who stretched out the heavens, laid the foundations of the earth, and formed the human spirit. The Lord is showing you that He's in control, total control. I will make Jerusalem like an intoxicating drink that makes the nearby nations stagger when they send their armies to besiege Jerusalem and Judah. On that day, I will make Jerusalem an immovable rock. All the nations will gather against it to try to move it, but they will only hurt themselves. Okay, it's a reversal. Verse 4. On that day, says the Lord Yahweh, I will cause every horse to panic and every rider to lose his nerve. I will watch over the people of Judah, but I will blind all the horses of their enemies. Okay, and the clans of Judah will say to themselves, the people of Jerusalem have found strength in the Lord, Yahweh of heaven's armies, their power. Okay, on that day I will make the clans of Judah like a flame that sets a wood pole ablaze, or like a burning torch among sheaves of grain. They will burn up all the neighboring nations right and left, while the people living in Jerusalem remain secure. It's okay. Verse 7, the Lord Yahawah will give victory to the rest of Judah first before Jerusalem, so that the people of Jerusalem and the royal line of David will not have greater honor than the rest of Judah. On that day, the Lord Yahawah will defend the people of Jerusalem. The weakest among them will be as mighty as King David, and the royal descendants will be like Yahawah, like power, like the angel of the Lord Yahawah, who goes who goes before them. For on that day I will begin to destroy all the nations that come against Jerusalem. Okay, so that's showing you the Lord is going to put, Jerusalem back on high. Okay, right now it's going to be, right now you got Esau ruling. Okay, but the Lord is going to put, Jerusalem back on high, and that's part of those blessings that we were reading here in Deuteronomy. Let me just get back here, Slakia. Okay, I will set you high above all the nations of the earth. So this is still to come. Even though we didn't get it right the first time, but the Lord saved the remnant unto Himself that would not, bow down to this man's image, bow down to this man's system. Okay, and all these blessings will come upon you and overtake you if you will obey the voice of the Lord Yahweh, your power. You will be blessed in the city and blessed in the country. The fruit of your womb will be blessed, as well as the produce of your land, and the offspring of your livestock, the cows in your herds, and the lambs of your flocks. Okay, your basket and kneading bowl will be blessed. You will be blessed when you come, and blessed when you go out. Or come in and go out. Okay, the Lord Yahweh will cause the enemies who rise up against you to be defeated before you. Okay, they will march out against you in one direction, but flee from you in seven. Okay, as we just read, in Zechariah chapter 12, it says right here, it says, on that day I will make Jerusalem an immovable rock. All the nations will gather against it to try to move it, but they will only hurt themselves. Okay, you know, or right here down at the bottom, they will burn up all the neighboring nations right and left, while the people living in Jerusalem remain secure, man. So that's the A. Right there, you can shut it down, man. That's going to be the reversal, man. Okay, but we got plenty of more to continue on. Okay, this is going to happen, man. These are not just words on the book. These words are life. Psalm chapter 2, verse 8, ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen, should give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession, man. So the Israelites will be back in rulership. Okay, we're back in style, and that is happening now, man. The so-called Black, Latino, and Native American Indians, you know, hey, we're back in style, man. Call on Yahawashi outside the earth, is waiting for a new management. Okay, let me delete these two. Okay, I should have kept that. Hold on, let me see something real quick. I think I wanted to get down on that parallel. See, I like to get that parallel, man. Your brothers and sisters out, you gotta use that, man. And then you will know. Okay, okay. All right, so there's nothing that I want right there. Get out of here. All right, and just let me see something. Hold on, Slocky. Don't want that right now. Okay, so you know, it mentioned that, the heathen for thine inheritance. Okay, so it's gonna come a time where, hold on one second, you know, I guess I'll go here first. It's gonna come a time where, just as they had us in slavery, all the wicked stuff, like the buck breaking, all that wicked shit Esau do, demasculated a man, ravishing our woman, and you know, but this motherfucker is gonna pay in a way that he could never have imagined. Okay, all right. So this is Revelation chapter 18, verse 6, NLT. Due to her as she has done to others, double her penalty for all her evil deeds. She brewed a cup of terror for others, so brewed twice as much for her. Okay, and that's talking about Babylon the Great, but ultimately the kingdom of Esau, you know, is going to get that double portion, as it says right here in the NIV. Okay, read some different King James Version. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works. And the cup which she hath filled to her double. So the Lord is going to utterly destroy this place. Okay, Babylon the Great. All right, the Lord is going to destroy this place, and it's going to be overtaken. Okay, Obadiah chapter 1 Obadiah chapter 1 verse 15. It ain't just Esau Edom, for the day of the Lord Yahawah is near for all the nations. As you have done, it will be done to you. Okay, an eye for an eye. Okay, your recompense will return upon your own head. Okay, so they touched the apple of the eye, which is Israelites, man, which are the Israelites, the chosen. Psalm chapter 137, verse 8, O daughter of Babylon, and that's perfect because I'm right there. Doomed to destruction, blessed is he who repays you as you have done to us. Okay, and I'm right there. Okay, Psalm chapter 137, verse 9, happy is the one who seizes your infants and dashes them against the rocks. Okay, because they did the same thing to us. They did the same thing to us. Hey, it ain't no pity party, man. No time to get sad. They did the same fucking thing to us. So a lot of you jakes that like to hug up on the oppressor, okay, and won't come from about of them. But the Lord said, woe to you that take a covering, but not of him. Okay, they have walked down to Egypt, have not asked at his name. Okay, you gonna die with this place. Okay, you know you're gonna die with this place. Okay, read the NLT version. Happy is the one who takes your babies and smashes them against the rocks. Now, if you think that's harsh, man. Let's go back to the time when the Esau, the so-called white man, was in, and at the prime of his you know, at the prime of his slaying, of his killings. Well, I can't say, at the prime of slavery, when he had us in slavery, in hardcore bondage slavery. The slave ships that came here were called the good slave ship Jesus. And, at the bottom of those ships, disease would run rampant because we would be shackled up in chains, hands and anklets, chain anklets, okay? And we'd be shitting and pissing on ourselves, traveling all the way to the north, which is America, Babylon the Great. And a lot of them, when disease ran rampant, a lot of Jake, they let a lot of Jake off inside the ocean. It was something about some insurance policy or something they had back then. They would, whatever the insurance thing they had, they would let Jake, that was still fully alive, but the neighbor might have been dead. They'd just let motherfuckers off with hey, not loosening up the chains, the anklets. Jake would just be stuck by his neighbor's weight, dead weight, and would have to drown in the ocean, in the seas, would have to drown. Let's not talk about gator bait. We could look all these things up. Gator bait, they tossed our little ones and they used them as gator bait, man. Okay, all type of situations happen, man. Buck breaking. They will put the biggest masculine man, out there in the field, okay, and they would demasculate him and make him be a bitch. Okay, would bitch him up so that the rest would not disobey. Okay, so we talking about a serial, a fucking madman, that deserves double. Okay, unto him. And this is the reversal of the curses. When it's time for you to get, your shit, it's time for you to get your shit, fucked up, for you to get punched in the face. Everybody want to cry, you know. But when you were throwing punches, you had no pity, man. Okay, all right. When you were throwing your blows, you were throwing them hard. You ain't give a fuck. Okay, so we're gonna be in that like manner, and that's why we always say that the Lord has to put that amount of that spirit inside of us to fucking wanna, because Jake is a compassionate, forgiving ass people. When you boil it down to the spirit, okay, we really are. Esau is somebody that is not gonna have pity. He's not gonna have pity to the grave. Okay, though he sought it carefully with tears, that bitch ain't gonna he gonna keep something against you forever. But Jake is compassionate people, man. So the Lord has to put that spirit in us of pure hatred on that day. Okay, on that day when it's time to fishers turn hunters. Okay, it's not gonna be not an ounce of sorry, not an ounce of pity. And I'm gonna show you this. Psalm chapter 137, verse 7. Or remember, O Lord Yahawah, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundation of thereof, man. Okay, so they said, tear it down. Remember, O Lord, the sons of Edom, on the day Berean study Bible, on the day Jerusalem fell, destroy it. They said, tear it down, its foundations. Okay, so that's the same chant we're gonna say when Babylon, when we're going, Lord, when we go up in those chariots, man. Lord, somebody's going up in those, the elect is going up in them chariots. How about that? Lord, wouldn't we be of that number? But the elect are going to be saying the same thing. Burn Babylon the fuck down. Burn it down. Lord, please, Bakashah, Lord, burn that bitch down. And that's what it's going to be. Okay? And it ain't going to be no pity on that shit, man. Because guess what? You had cast off all pity, as it says right here, Amos chapter 1, verse 11. And this is falling right in order. I didn't have this, I would like to say I didn't have this, thing in order. But why the Yahawashi Shai is not, it's not our words. Okay, this is Amos chapter 1, verse 11. NIV verse. This is what the Lord Yahawah says. For 3 sins of Edom, okay, even for 4, I will not relent, because he pursued his brother with a sword and slaughtered the women of the land, because his anger raged continually, and his fury flamed unchecked. Hold on, man. I like, hold on. Okay. Let me get this real quick. This is Amos, King James Version, Amos chapter 1, verse. We got to carry the way captive and hold captive. Yeah. And that's why all you other nations gonna pay too, you fucking nations. Okay. Okay, right here for verse 9. Thus saith the Lord Yahawah, for 3 transgressions, no, 11. Thus saith the Lord Yahawah, for 3 transgressions of Edom. And for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, okay, because he did pursue his brother with the sword and did cast off all pity, man. And his anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever. Okay. He says, but I will send fire upon Teman, okay, which are the Germans, which shall devour the palaces of Bozrah, okay. So, hey, the Lord letting you know that He's not gonna, you know, have pity on Edom or you other nations, man. Okay, this is the reverse of the curses, man. Okay, this is what the title's about. This is what the lesson's about. Okay, all right, and this is why we tell Jake, to wake up and come out of this fucking place, with this polluted land. Okay, Hosea chapter 4, verse 1. Hear the word of the Lord, Yahawah, ye children of Israel, for the Lord hath a controversy with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no truth, no mercy, no knowledge of Yahawah in the land. Okay. This man, thinks he's God. Okay. And we tell you all the time, Isaiah chapter 43, verse 13, okay, that, hey, the Lord is running the show. All right. Isaiah 43, verse 13, he set this man up in power. He's going to take this man out. NLT, from eternity to eternity, I am power. I am Yahweh. No one can snatch anyone out of my hand. No one can undo what I have done. Okay. No one. Okay. So the Lord, his call is the final call, man. Real quick, let me see what this is. Okay, I already read that. Just clearing some of this stuff. Okay, boom. Okay, good. I think we're pretty much caught up. All right. So, you see the judgment that's coming to this place, man. Okay. You see the judgment for both sides. Israel's going to get the righteous judgment. Israel's going to get that, that they're going to win the case. Okay. It's going to be, the case is going to go our way because, this man here has dealt, treacherously with Israel. Okay. He has dealt wickedly. Okay. And deceitfully. This is talking about the accusing of the brethren, man. Somebody that accuses us, before the Lord, they out, day and night out, day and night. Okay, which is just stupid because the Lord sees everything, and He's the one laying the stumbling blocks, man. He's the one having those secret counsels to cause the poor to fall. Okay, so it just doesn't make sense, man. But anyway, that's the reversal. Okay, that is the reversal. All right, the reversal of curses. Okay, and throughout Yahawashi Shai, He has given us a chance to be back on top. Okay, because remember, like we said, it's His movie. It didn't have to go like this, man. And throughout Yahawashi Shai, we get the better end of the stick. Esau's gonna get the shitty end of the stick. So throughout Yahawashi Shai. So with that, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahawah, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Rakakwadash, and the ones to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the hopeful let. Lord, when this lesson is edifying to so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians, who consist of the 12 tribes of Israel, your fellow servant Awad from the GMS Orlando camp, and Lord, when this lesson will edifying to Wadi, Habash, Shai, Shalom.